Hello, folks. Welcome to another edition of the Archeryshack Shop Talk. I'm Jeremy.
I'm TJ.
This is podcast 80. Thanks for tuning in. We got some questions that came in to talk about. We got a couple things that happened archery industry-wise this week we can chat about and that kind of stuff. So thanks for being with us. If you hadn't subscribed before, click the old subscribe button. We have a weekly podcast where we just talk about random archery stuff.
Mm-hmm.
We have a weekly live feed on Thursday nights where we chat with everybody. And we're going to get back into the routine of getting a Sunday video about random tuning or shooting or whatever coming out again. So hit the old subscribe button. We'd greatly appreciate it. And if you need a set of custom strings, we make custom strings. If you didn't know that, Archeryshack, ArcheryshackStrings.com. Use code podcast15 for 15% off your order. Well, this week, I guess the biggest thing is PSE kind of did a big thing. They fired most of their reps, went with a different outside rep group. And I think we'd counted for the fifth time in 18 months. We don't even know who our rep is at this point, but
is it still the same rep that we have now, or?
I'm not sure, because when I texted him the other day, he said he was still going to be employed as a PSC rep, but through, Altec, a different company, but he was actually on a conference call trying to figure out what was going on, and I hadn't heard back from him, so I don't know. My feeling is
he might have got moved around.
Yeah, because he was South Georgia, so I'm wondering if he don't end up, but I'm hoping we keep him, because we've only had him not long, a couple of months or something. So it's just a big mix-up with PSE. They, I hope, and I hate that I've said this about 4 times in the last year, are on the right track to getting everything. I mean, they make good products. It's just a lot of internal weird stuff going on since 2 or 3 years ago, really. So we of course are still PSC dealers and all that, but we have honestly greatly cut back ever since all the mixing around started happening a few years ago. So we keep a few here, and I had a pretty good feeling with with John Dudley getting involved and all that, and it seems like we've got a lot more interest in PSE, but we still hadn't stocked a ton of them. But anyway, I'm curious to see what's going to happen now.
Yep.
And hopefully, consumer-wise, hopefully it don't affect anybody. It's just on the dealer side of things, once again, what's going on. You know what I mean? One of those deals. And I wish they would have. We heard all this through the grapevine, as did several other dealers we know that are PSC dealers.
Yeah.
I wish they would just a simple email. Hey, here's what's happening or about to happen or whatever. Don't freak. Here's going to be your new guy, or you're keeping the same guy, or communication's everything.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest, in the archery industry, I have yet to find a company that I would just say these people are the absolute best at communication and stuff. I don't know if it's because archery people are we're good old boys, or, when I was in the medical field, I worked at some facilities that had a good communication and supply line, and I worked at other places that was a mess. But there were, in archery, we can go back, in my experience, a little over 20 years, and there's been better and worse, but it's always never great with any company. It just seems like. I think what happens is they have reps. For example, just to dig a little deeper, most of these companies have reps that cover several states. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you figure a lot of archery shops in each state, and then trying to get everybody's stuff straight and that sort of thing. I'm sure it's not an easy job, but
and plus you got some of these reps are reps for multiple archery companies too. It's not like
we've got several reps that'll literally, like TJ said, 30 companies. You know what I mean? They'll be repping anything from bow companies to camouflage clothing to scent stuff to broadheads to whatever.
Yeah.
and that's probably good for them. And it is nice for us to have like one go-to person, but like in general, that's a mess because it's usually hard to get something done, I guess is the best way to put it.
So I don't know. I just wish they would communicate, because like I said, we found out about the rep change and everything through the grapevine.
Yep.
And then, you know, some of the stuff that we've heard has been from customers. It hasn't been from people walk in the door and say, hey, I heard this, and we go look it up and kind of investigate it, and it's like, oh crap, this is true.
Yeah, or reach out to another dealer person, and like I say, I think you've seen it first from a guy we know online saying something, and I texted our rep, and he was like, yeah, it's true, because I was kind of like, no. It wasn't long ago, there was another big mix-up with those reps, but he's like, yep, he said, it's true. He said, I stayed on, I'm only one of a couple, and I'm on the conference call right now finding out what the deal is. So, what a mess.
It is. And I don't know when everything, you know, a lot of this stuff is hush-hush, and then somebody leaks it. But, you know, at least give us, you know, as dealers and, you know, people.
Yeah, because we're just in the dark.
We're in the dark. We're all of a sudden.
If I wanted to order a bow for somebody right now, like, do I reach out to that rep? I mean, I can obviously call the factory and sit on hold and wait and talk to somebody that way, I guess, but it's awkward. And typically companies that we end up in this situation with, we slowly move away from, because it's just, you know, if it's, I guess the best way to put it is, if you're going to make us look like a bunch of dumbasses, we're going to get the hell away from you. You know what I mean? Because we had a bow company about 5-6 years ago now. It was a mess. Like, you know, we'd order stuff. We got bows in that we didn't order, and we called them, and they're like, oh, we sent it to Archeryshack. Well, this is the wrong Archeryshack. They supposed to send it to another one, and it you know, we played with him for a year and was like, deuces, you know. I don't, like, I ain't gonna say their name, and I try not to sound like a whiny ass, but it's just, you know, it pisses me off with that particular company I was just talking about. You know, we order a guy a bow, they tell us on the phone, you'll get it in 3-4 weeks. You know, we're at 6 or 8 weeks, constantly checking in. The customer's pissed, thinks we didn't order it. You know, they call the factory and they're like, yeah, they ordered it. You know, it just makes us look stupid. And I don't deal with that. That's not going to happen.
And then 6 months later, it might show up, and then again, it might not.
It's been something else.
Yeah, but
anyway, so that's the big thing with all the PSC mix-up. I don't know. We'll know more hopefully in the next week or two, or we may not. I don't know. But I may call and get some answers just to know myself what the hell's going on. But that happened. What else has happened? We got the letter saying that they're going up on some prices. Yeah, Bear said, you know, and I don't blame them. I mean, because just with us, we've had a lot of shipping trouble with strings and stuff. And but Bear said between shipping going up and aluminum prices going up, they're going to go up a little bit. And what we can tell so far, they've sent us a little bit of information. It's going to be about $20 they're going to go up on the bows. So that's not a huge deal, I don't think. And I've heard, when I heard about the whole rep thing with PSC, that they may be in the same boat sooner than later, but I hadn't gotten the official nothing from them, so we'll see. And we may see that across the board. Some of the cheaper bows may start bumping up, because I know aluminum has skyrocketed, and shipping overall, especially with the post office, is a mess right now still. So we may see that across the board. You know, typical $400 bows may start bumping to $430 and $450 bows. You never know. Yeah. But it's just going to be hard pressed for a lot of people that want to get in that $400 price range, and all of a sudden, you know, well, they wasn't accounting for that. I mean, wasn't accounting for extra $50. That's where they may jump to the Amazon bows, like that San Lita bow, the Dragon. They may jump to that, which, I mean, what I think a lot of people don't know is most of the $400 bows or cheaper bows still come from China. We get boxes in from different manufacturers of the cheaper end bows, and it on the carton, you know, it's from China import numbers and stuff. So I got a lot of whatever about doing that Chinese bow review. And I'm like, hell, you want me to start naming them off? Because about every cheap bow is coming from China, even if you think they're here. But anyway, So that's the industry news. Had the ASA shoot. They were actually shooting the ASA while we recorded last week this thing. And, of course, Levi won the big boy class.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder how long it'll be until he finally starts kind of becoming normal.
I don't know, man.
I think it'll be another while. I mean, because he's, what, 35, 34, 33? I don't know how old he is, but he's roughly mid-30s.
Yeah, how old is he's 32, 33, I think.
I bet he's got another strong 10 years, I'm
Oh,
sure.
man.
So,
Well, I can see him being like the next Tim Gillingham that, pretty much Tim shot known pro for how many years?
he
switched.
He started unknown and known and then jumped into senior. Now he's kind of dominating that. But
I can see Levi doing the same thing, dominating as he bumps up through his years.
I guess I'll jump into questions. Sam asked, how common is a robin hooded arrow? I have tried and tried and tried. A couple friends have done it, but I have never got a robin hood. I mean, it's not super common. When I usually see them in there are people shooting here. It's where a guy will take 6 or 8 arrows and fire them at 20 yards at a little dot. You shoot a dozen arrows at a dot, it's going to happen. If you shoot your same 2 or 3 arrows at a dot, you may break a knock, but it takes a while. One of the coolest ones I'd ever seen, this was probably 2014 or 15 out here. I had took a guy outside and we sighted in his bow, and then he hung around a while and I got my bow out and we were just out there shooting, and we're shooting at 80 yards, and I hit just out of the X ring. I think it was like a 5 o'clock shot or something like that, 7 o'clock, whatever, it don't really matter. And he Robin Hooded at 80 yards. I'm like, dude, keep this, because this is a cool story right here.
Mm-hmm.
But that was pretty neat. But yeah, it's not super common unless you see somebody shooting a lot of arrows at the same dot. But saying that, I mean, it happens, with people shooting 2 or 3. It's just out here when people come and shoot, we see it a couple times a year. And then, years ago, we kind of got like as far as an indoor target face to where we don't shoot the same dot. We do the 5 dot to avoid tearing up arrows. But if you ever, break a knock or slap one hard, of course, we've talked about it before, make sure you flex it. Check for damage on the arrow, because if you were to nick it and it be a carbon arrow, you're looking at a possible explosion.
Yeah. And it's, a Robin Hood is really, and sometimes it's by freak accident.
Yeah, most of the time it is. But
unless Jeremy brings it up, I mean, you shoot with TJ, you're going to get your feathers knocked off, probably get Robin Hooded.
TJ tried it. He's like, Jeremy hit a 5, but I'm going to see if I can Robin Hood him.
The best one that we did was we was actually shooting here, and I actually hit the back of your bushing and just dead centered that bush, and I couldn't have done it no more better.
I remember that.
And kicked my ear out.
Let's see. Kevin says, is there an easy way to build a paper tuner, or any advice of how to, plans, I guess is what he's saying. I know on Archery Talk, there's a bunch of people with different plans, but, basically, the easiest way to build it, if you don't want to buy one, and it's crazy because there's a couple companies that sell them, and they're made out of PVC, but they sell them for $80 and $100, at least as far as some of our distributors go, and that's crazy. Go get you some PVC, maybe like 1.5 inch PVC, and you just want to pretty much build a square. There's a bunch of different ways of how you can attach the paper to it.
Mm-hmm.
Like on ours, we got this little spring thing that'll clamp the paper tight, but you ain't got to get that fancy, But ultimately, you just build the box. I know some people literally clothespin newspaper up or something like that, but I'd say get on Archery Talk or just a Google search, how to build a paper tuner. When I built my first one, it was an article, I want to say in about the 1997 Buckmaster magazine had an article on how to build one. That's what I went off of, but there's a ton of articles.
Oh, yeah.
And then, we've sold them before, the what's that little tuning box thing called from 30-06?
The Tune It, I think it is.
Yeah, they make this little cardboard box that flips out and will hold a piece of paper. So, you could just sit it on a bench or a chair or picnic table, whatever, and use it. That's a good idea, I think. I've read about limb deflection numbers and tuning bows. What exactly does a limb deflection number mean? A limb deflection number is how the factory measures an exact weight or flex. Well, we get into that exact weight of a limb. So, like, they're going to put it on their machine. They're going to see how much it flexes under a certain tension. And, it's different for every company, really. Let's just say I changed a set of limbs out on a Hoyt the other day, and I can't remember exact numbers, but let's just say you got like a 517 deflection number. Well, you can go to, say, Hoyt's tune charts and look at a 517 tune number, and it'll say it's a 80-pound limb or 60-pound or 50. And most companies will vary a few numbers so you might have like a 517, a 517, a 516, a 515. So that's all the deflection number means, is how that company measures the exact flex or weight of a limb. So that's it. And, we've talked about it before. We've had a few bows, a binary bow where you don't have a yoke. You absolutely can't get it to tune, and we've took them and flipped the top two limbs, moved right to left, left to right, and it'll tune. So rarely does that happen, but it can happen.
It's probably somebody at the factory just grabbed the wrong deflection out of a pile and put it on the wrong side. And, stuff like that does happen from time to time, but not much anymore.
Yeah. And people ask, why can't I have a perfectly matched set of deflection numbers? And they'll be close, but I forget who had said what company, but they said to perfectly match them, would take so much more time and cost that the bow prices would go up even more. Mm-hmm. And actually since your cables are pulling to the right on a right-handed shooter's bow because of the roller or the slide or whatever you got, you actually may not want them to be perfectly matched. You know what I mean? Because of that pull. And we've had people come in and say, look, I can look at the bottom of my limb or top of my limb, and it's angled over a little bit, but you can take that cable slide loose and it's back straight. And it's like, it's got to be angled a tad because there's so much force pulling over with those cables. But anyway, we got in some Nexus 4 bows yesterday, 2 of them. So anybody that was looking for one, we called a couple people and let them know because they wanted to be notified. But we've got, right now we've got 2 4s and 6s. We got a lot of 2s. Got the 2 4s that came in and a couple 6s. So if you need that in your local, come see us before we get rid of them. Mm-hmm. Let's see here. Today I was talking to a guy. I swear we sold like 6 nose buttons back to back to back today.
Yeah.
People kept coming in, and they were either picking up bows or getting them worked on. And them things, they must really be advertising. I like them, but man, we have sold more of them things. That's probably like the hottest item in the past year that has been selling, is everybody's asking about them. We hadn't even got a.
I haven't seen the advert. I mean, I see it in like the magazine, but I hadn't seen nothing on TV, or I hadn't seen nothing.
That last guy told me that he had seen a bunch of stuff pop up on YouTube about it. So I don't know. I hadn't seen it either.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
It's weird.
I don't know. Here's I accidentally derailed my bow. Is there any way to get string back on without pressing it at a shop? Nope.
You gotta press it.
That with such high let-off bows now and stuff, you really gotta put a release on when you draw one and let it down, and not, make sure you're not super torquing it.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Who was looking through emails for questions? I think we've asked this before, but what is y'all's favorite camo? There's so many camos out there now.
Man.
A guy just left with an Elite and in the QU Verde pattern. It looks sharp, but it's been a while. What is y'all's favorite camo? I don't even, there's always the Realtree Mossy Oak argument, but beyond that, there's so much more. There's Sitka stuff, and there's this and that. Man. I mean, there's so much stuff. Here's a guy, he said, he's not local, but he said ordered a bow from my shop around 6 weeks ago. Is the whole archery industry seeing a backlog of orders? And right now, pretty much yes.
Yeah, big time.
We, for the most part, if we ordered a bow right now, you'd be looking at 6 or 8 weeks, and then if it's a fancy color that may not be in stock, 8 to 10 weeks. So it's
maybe longer.
Yeah, it's taking a while.
Yeah. I don't know, back to the camo. Maybe First Light Fusion would be one of my go-tos.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know about anybody out watching this, but some of that stuff is getting up in there and some mega bucks. And
Well, that's my thing too. Like, just me, there's a limit to what, we don't get that cold in our hunting season. We start out super hot, and then it's kind of middle of the road, and then it might get cold there at the end. So, like, I don't want to be cold, but I'm not going to spend a chunk just to not freeze, not around here. And the same thing, for when we're sweating our butt off, I'm not going to spend a fortune on, and that's just me. I know a lot of people do.
Oh, yeah. And we not knocking no companies or anything like that. It's just, I know I got to looking into it, and I think I can't remember what it was, some pants and a jacket or something, or a hoodie or something. I was sitting there thinking, God a-mosey.
Yeah.
I was like, this is a cheap bow.
Somebody asked, do we have a favorite hip style quiver we would recommend? Just have one to shoot around in the backyard with.
Any hip quiver, just shooting around in the back. I've kind of switched over to the field style quiver to where the air, instead of your airs being out in front of you, it's kind of towards the back. I've kind of switched over to one of them. I can't remember which one I got now, but
Elevation makes some nice ones. Definitely look into them, but there's also cheaper ones out there. I've never had what you'd say a bad experience with a quiver. Just kind of, you can get them as big or small. You can get a basic little clip-on one, or you can get a bigger one that goes in the belt and holds your binoculars and a few other things.
Yeah.
So, let's see here. Favorite vanes other than blazers?
I'm a fan of the Fletch. I haven't shot any tacks, but I like the Fletch vanes myself.
I agree. Fletch. AAE makes a ton of different stuff. We've never had any bad luck out of them. It's just in an archery shop, 95% of people just blazer.
Yep.
But trying to think of what else.
And I don't know if you're starting to see it, but I'm starting to see the blazer I'm starting to see people go with like an X vane or a little bit lower profile vane. Maybe a little bit longer.
I really like those X vanes too. I did a couple this week, and you can get it in all kind of different lengths. It's still made by Boning, the blazer people, but it's like a shield cut back. I guess is in a little bit lower profile, so it's pretty cool, and it works and feels similar to a blazer, without changing up the whole game. But I don't know. There's not I like Fletch. One, I shot them a long time ago and liked them. The people are as nice as you could ever want. We always talk to them at the shows. They're a little bit more expensive than anything else, but they got some vanes with a pretty slick, the Silent Night vanes. They're super quiet, but I like them. That's a good vane and good people. Torn between a 33 or 31 inch bow, primarily for hunting, maybe a few 3D shoots. What would y'all suggest?
That's a little bit of hard without knowing like a draw length.
I'm a 33 inch man.
I agree. I
don't know. Just with some of these short bows that we've tuned outside, it's fine out to 40 yards or whatever, but you start getting a little bit 40, 50, 60 yards, you can just, you can just tell it's, I hate to say not as stable, but it's just more movement.
Yeah.
That's the best way I know how to put it.
And I guess because we hadn't shot too many short axles besides that Bear Divergent the other year.
Yeah.
But, like I said, a draw length would have been good on that one. But I agree, 33 would be.
But if you're shooting in super tight tree stand stuff, 31's the answer.
Yeah.
But to me, 33 is a good. You can do a little bit. You can hunt with it. You can shoot a little 3D with it. I mean, I wouldn't want to set up a 3D. But I can't talk 3D bow with long stabilizers and slide bars and all that on a 33-inch bow. But I mean, you could. But if you're just shooting, your basic 3D shoots, kind of like where you're hunting setup, I'd go 33.
Yeah.
Have y'all tried the EZV sight? Used to hear a lot about it, but not recently.
I don't think I've seen it, handled it, looked at it, but I've never put one on my bow to shoot.
I've shot on other people's bows, and it works. It's not my cup of tea, but it works.
Mm-hmm.
Talked to the guy that invented it, pretty nice fella. From what I just know about it, it was a big marketing campaign on like Archery Talk and stuff.
Yeah.
And then they came to the ATA show a couple years and were pushing it pretty hard. And then I hadn't really in the past year or two heard as much about it either. So
I hadn't either.
I don't know. Let's see here. I should have wrote these down because I'm going to scroll through about 10,000 emails. If y'all ever have any questions, just put them in the comments or email them to us, archeryshack@gmail.com, and we'll try to answer them. Here's a guy that says, thinking about using quick Fletch, are they good or should I stay away from them?
I've actually run some, and I mean, I've never had any problems with them. It's, the quick Fletch is pretty much, it's a wrap with the fletchings already installed on it. You actually heat some water up. I can't remember the exact directions, but I remember you had to boil some water, get it hot, and then you slid the quick Fletch on the back of your air. You put it in the water, and it actually shrinks to the tubing or to your air. But you could actually pull it out and put some helical to it if you wanted to, and then put it back in the water to let it completely shrink down. But I mean, I never had any problems out of it when I shot it.
Yeah, I've never heard. We've sold a few. I'm not super familiar. I mainly sold them to people like if you're going to be out at hunting camp and might need to quickly reflect something, this is probably the way to go. But yeah, I mean, I've never heard anybody really complain about them.
Mm-mm.
And then somebody asked, what's the best way to remove old fletching?
That one's tricky because we do the old pocket knife technique.
I'd say just take a dull knife. If you get something sharp, you're going to risk cutting into the carbon, especially if you're kind of new to it. But just get old pocket knife and easily start scraping stuff till you can get most of your glue off. But some people take razors and all that, but just be careful because you can dig into that carbon and then, you might as well chunk the arrow.
Do they still make the easy strip?
I think so.
They make a little tool called easy strip, and it's beveled out, and you just scrape the vein up. But
most people's probably just
pocket knife.
Yeah, just it takes take an old arrow or something and play with it. You'll kind of figure out what angle. Just don't dig into the carbon. But
yeah.
I think we're out of time here, but thanks for tuning in this week. Let us know what we can talk about with you next week, and we'll be on Thursday live. Check us out, and thanks for listening to us ramble.
Yep.
See y'all.
See y'all.